Good morning, Impact Youth. I hope all is well for you guys. We are starting week 2 of our series on the image of God, Imago Dei. I'm very excited. We're going to go a little quicker this week. I think I've got it kind of narrowed down to what exactly I want to do. And I like the fact that we can discuss this on Wednesday. So we're going to go quick here today. We're going to talk about a few different passages of the scripture, and then I've got some thoughts and some questions for you guys to think about, but we're going to discuss it Wednesday at 7. So Wednesdays at 7, I will make sure that I get all of you guys the code to join on the Zoom meeting, and I have more of your guys' numbers for this week, and I'll send out the code here tomorrow, and I'll be able to send you the a reminder on Wednesday, but Wednesday at 7, we are going to be doing this, and we're going to be discussing Imago Dei. So, we're going to start today in Leviticus 19:4. Leviticus 19:4 says, "Do not put your trust in idols. Do not make metal image of the God for yourself. I am the Lord your God." God talking to us. And then we are going to jump over to Romans 1:18 through 23. And that says, "But God shows his anger from heaven against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. They know the truth about God because he has made it obvious for them. But since the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky. Through everything God has made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So, they have no excuse for not knowing God. Yes, they know God, but they wouldn't worship him as God or give him thanks. They began to think up foolish ideas of what God was like. As a result, their minds became dark and confused. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools, and instead of worshiping the glorious, ever-living God, they worshipped idols, made to look like mere people with birds, mammals, and reptiles." Nobody looks at the world and thinks, this is the way it's supposed to be. Everyone has seen brokenness in the world, and in their relationships and within themselves. But sometimes they don't understand why everything's so broken. But once we understand why, we can learn how everything can be restored. For now, let's work on understanding why everything is broken by discussing some questions more in depth. A question that I want to ask you, and I'll answer a little bit, but I definitely want to talk about it more on Wednesday. How would you explain worship to somebody? How would you explain the concept of worship to somebody? Number 2, do you think worship is something just for church, or can you worship God just by doing ordinary things? How would you give an example of that? Number 3, what does it look like to worship something like it's God? Not actually worshiping God, but worshiping something like it's God. Now, do you think that worship is something that only Christians do? Why or why not? And can you think of an example of something people might worship today instead of God? I want to emphasize that we were made to worship God. We were made by God to worship him in a unique way. Only human beings were given the capacity to worship and serve God by bearing his image to the world. However, we've all chosen to sin against God. We dishonor him by giving up the purpose he gave us. The good news is that the story does not end there. God has made a way for our original identity and purpose to be restored to us. That way has been made available through Jesus, who, as we will see next week, is the true and perfect image of God. All right, guys. A lot to think about there. I'm really excited for continuing this topic and hearing what you guys think and maybe encouraging you guys a little bit. I am very excited to go forward. I miss you guys. I hope all is well for you. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.